Hello there, friends. I want to go through this Arasaka room on Hack Smarter, and unfortunately, I kind of already have, right? So I'll link it up in this upper right hand corner. I'll put it down in the description down below, and that's because the audio was kind of terrible. Let's hope that this audio is better, so that I don't have to do it again. But anyway, we'll kind of work through it the way that I have some things that I already have here. Um, And yeah. So anyway, this is Arasaka. This is on Hack Smarter's uh, website, hacksmarter.org. Please spell properly. And yes. So welcome to the best InfoSec community. This is a hands-on lab, and it is this one right here, Arasaka. Let's see if it shows us who it was made by. It does. Henry Lever. And oh, I did here? Not interesting that it just shows you all this. So you can see that we're starting off with credentials, Faraday, and Hack Smarter. Our objective is, it's to gain domain administrator, but yeah, nothing different. Domain administrator, that's our goal. So what am I starting off with? I've got the IP address. I've checked that the server's up. We can ping it again. We can ping 10.1.95.42, and we see some pings coming through, so we know that it's up. And close that out. I've opened up my Etsy host file, and I've put in the name of the domain controller, the domain itself, and the DC again. So we'll close and save that. And you can already see on the right hand side, I've got a port scan, but let's go ahead and look at my port scan and how I like to configure this. So I'm typically using RustScan. If I'm not using RustScan, I'm just going to use Nmap, TAC A, 10.1.95.42. So the IP address set a U limit of 5,000, --. Now we're putting in some Nmap commands. TAC PN, TAC SC, TAC SV, default scripts, enumerate versions. And I typically will output that into Nmap format into a file called nmap.md, and I would do that because it pops it into a file that looks like this. And then it just allows me to quickly come through and format it the way that I like it. And we can see in this case, it looks like, oh, maybe I will run this. Flip the help. Lowercase a. There we go. So we'll go ahead and let this run. What it's going to do is end up filling out this Obsidian file for me, right? It's just marked down. So it's going to fill it out, and then I'll be able to go through and just kind of parse it the way that I like it to be. And that's kind of where this scan information came from on the right-hand side. You can see some things, and the reason that we ended up I put TAC H at the end. I sure freaking did. Yeah, so it didn't finish. Scan TAC A for address, the address, ulimit 5000, PN, SC, SV, ON, and map.md. Excellent. Anyway, so other than like the certificate telling us it's a DC, we can kind of tell it's a DC because we see port 53, port 88, LDAP and LDAP-S down here, LDAP, LDAP-S, and some other typical high ports that are running on domain controllers. I love this. Let's ping this again. Ping 10.1.95.42. It's still there. I'm just going to clear this and we'll move forward. So what's one of the first things that we want to do? We want to make sure that NXT, SMB, TACU, we want to make sure that the credentials that we have are valid, that they're working. Parrot A, attack P, this, and see if we have any access. So we have S&P access. We can see that. Do we have access to any shares on the server? If we do, that'd be like, like write access. It'd be surprising, but you never know. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe some companies do start you off with with an administrator account or some level of administrator. But in this case, they've started us off as a user. So what are some things that we can do? Just initially, we can go ahead and start. We can run Bloodhound and see if we can get some collection data and just kind of look through that. See if we can identify potentially path forward. See what users exist. So here, I'm going to use the LDAP module. Then inside of that, we're going to use Bloodhound with collection method of all. Here we might need to add the DNS. Yes, domain controller. So we need to add the DNS server here to 10.1.95.42. And hopefully that will actually end up pulling through. What folder am I in? I'm on my desktop. It's fine. Whatever. Let's do this. Next, what I would typically do is move this file here so that it is on my home or in my current folder, and then navigate to Bloodhound, get that going, which for me would be sudo opt Bloodhound CLI, and let's just start. It's not just start. It is containers start. Yeah, that's right. So it would be container start. And then you'd be able to log into Bloodhound. Once Bloodhound loads up, we'll kind of already see information, which is a little bit of a shame. How about this? How about we go ahead and clear this out? We'll go ahead and remove all the data that's already in there and essentially just start over from scratch, right? Let's delete the environment data. Typically, I forget to do this. Oh, fuck. Typically, I forget to do this when I get done. And so I always have to do it the next time. So let's upload this file, get it some stuff ingested. It's likely that it fails the first time. What? Where did it pull that from? Something I've been seeing the last couple times that I've been running this. Oh, that's why. Something I've been seeing the last couple times that I've been running this is it fails on the first ingestion for some reason, and so I've been having to upload a second time. I don't know. It's not that big of a file, so hopefully it won't take too long. And yeah. Oh, actually, while that's running, what are some other things that we could do? Let's do. Let's see if we can pull out some descriptions. NXT has a module for that. Hack smarter. Let's go back. Let's list out the modules, and I think it's get user description and maybe user get description, something like that. Get description users. I think I was wrong on both counts. So tech L to list out the modules for the LDAP modules, and then M to call the module. I think if we do options -- options, if there were options for a command, it would show us options, and then here you can see that we actually can. There are actually some options here. Is the password policy enabled? Is the Windows password policy enabled? Minimum password link to match. Only use if password policy is true. We don't really need that, but let's go ahead and run the modules and just see kind of what's here. So what do we see? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 users. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are service accounts that we can tell anyway. This says certificate manager, trapped for eternity, waiting for Ember, trapped for eternity, loyal to a fault. And then we just have our default accounts there. Hopefully you can still see them. Okay, it looks like our data finished ingesting, so we can go ahead and explore. But this is something else that would be interesting, right? Sometimes administrators will plug passwords into the description field, not realizing that it can be queried by users, authenticated users, and essentially just leaking passwords to individuals. Or I don't know, maybe during onboarding, when new individuals are coming, maybe they use like randomized passwords, and so they stuff those passwords into the description field. Um, I don't know, for their help desk or whoever's doing the onboarding. So anyway, let's kind of move on and look at the data. So who do we have? We have Faraday. Let's go ahead and start looking at them and mark them as owned, and then see if they have any access here. Something else to keep in mind is that we have a bunch of service accounts, so be thinking potentially Kerber roasting. But let's see. It's not an administrator. It's not allowed. There's no unconstrained delegation. That it's capable of exploiting. Do not require pre-auth is not set. It's not trusted for constrained delegation. It is in two groups. It's a member of domain users, and there's no outbound object control. We already know there are no passwords in the description field. We know that in the share, there's no information. Let's go back to our mmap scan, see if it finished. It never finished. It failed. That's right. We gave up on it. That's okay. What else do we see here? Kerberos was running, so we could like potentially brute force users or passwords, but I mean we kind of have a list of users, mostly over there, and don't really see much else. I guess we could see. Actually, remove that. Does our user have P2P access? Well, she can authenticate, or Faraday can authenticate, but they can't log in, which is fine. So what's the next thing that we want to do? Let's think back to the Kerber roasting. Let's see what accounts there are that are Kerber roastable. So we'll go back to Impacket. Damn shame there. Let's see. Here's what we want to do. I don't really want to spoil everything for you. So let's try clearing our data. Yeah, Impacket. Yeah, user SPNs. And it is our domain. I think it's hacksmarter.local. It is. Hacksmarter.local. We know that we are user Faraday. We know that we have a password of hacksmarter123. And a DC IP of 10.195.42. And so we can see that we can there is an account that is Kerberosable. So we can request a ticket for that account. And I think I should have is it output file into hash.text cat hash.text. Yes, it is. Okay, awesome. And now we can crack that offline with John. Hash word list is equal to user share word lists. Rocky.text, and it's not hash, it's hash.text. And we can see that we have a password of baby girl. Gotta move on down. There it is. There it is. And let's go and check out what information this user has. We did some enumeration as far as I don't know, requesting information with Bloodhound. So let's take a look at some other relationships. We know that we now have AI services. Is that what it was called? What was it called? Awesome. I'm so cool that I didn't mark it down. Luckily, I have it over here. It is alt SVC. Alt period SVC. So let's go ahead and find that account and see what they have. Alt SVC. We'll go ahead and mark them as owned. and look at them. We can see their description. We can see password never expires, set to false, no constrained delegation, no unconstrained delegation, no flag for do not require pre-authentication. However, they do have outbound control over a user. They have generic all over this individual, Yorinobu. So what we should be able to do is update this individual's password, which is great. So now we can force them to change their password, and then we can actually log in as them. So what I'm going to go ahead and preemptively do is mark them as owned, and let's grab our command here for that, which of course came right out of Bloodhound, right? If we click on generic all, look at the Linux abuses, we scroll down, it's actually giving us the command, it's giving us some information about it. We can use the Sambasnet tool to change the user password. So that's exactly what we're doing right now. And we are resetting it to a new world, 321 @. And I also like to check and just make sure that it actually worked, it went through, and it does. Let's look at 1RM, check what access they have. Interesting. They can 1RM? Evil 1RM, TACU. Rinobu. TAC P. We have that. Think. So what I would typically actually do is go back and see what access we have, but let's just look at this real fast. 10, 1, 95, 42. We can't. Is there a user flag I missed? No, there's not. Yeah, and we only have a couple users that have accounts in the box. We'll exit out of that for now because I promise you that we do not need it. Although I suppose you could need it if you chose a different route. But anyway, let's kind of keep moving forward. Yorinobu, we own them. No flag for do not require pre-auth. No unconstrained delegation. No constrained delegation. Somewhere there it is. They also have outbound object control for Soul Killer, but they have a generic right, which will allow us to abuse or perform a shadow credential attack, and subsequently retrieve a PFX file, which will allow us to pass the certificate using a tool like Certify. For this, I'm going to need to source opt. Is it PyWhisker? PyWhisker. BMV, then activate. There we go. And now I should be able to 3 opt PyWhisker. God, where's this thing? There we go. Okay. And we need to grab our information for our user now. Thanks. So what do we know? It is hacksmarter.local. The controlled account is Yorinobu. And don't forget, if you want to see like a full walkthrough of this and not just me working through it, I mean, you can go and check that out. Maybe I'll put another path here, or just check the description, honestly. And let's see, soulkiller.svc is what we want to alter. Soulkiller.svc. And then we're gonna add, and we can see here got a password, and we actually need to come down, and pop that in there because we're going to need it. We're going to need it for our next command in order to authenticate with the user and get their NTLM hash and become them, right? And now we can move on and kind of exploit them. So again, we're just going step by step and just really just following the trail, right? There is a trail. It's there. It's been laid out for us. We just have to follow it. We now know, right? Like we can request certificates, and once we gain access, as this user, we'll use certify to find or perform some attacks based around Spectre Ops research called Certified Pre-Owned, which is an exploitation of Active Directory certificate services. So what is our next step? We need to pass the cert that we have here, and we need to not open up that stuff. And let's see what we have. So I actually need to, dang man, let's source. We need to source certify. Source op certify v and v. Then activate. Yeah. Awesome. So now we've kind of switched gears. And get that. Certify auth. We can use the pfx file, pfx flag, the domain controller IP. We need the username. We need the password. We can get here. And then we have the domain as well, hacksmarter.local. So we're going to use this to authenticate as the user. It's going to connect to the DC, the CA, the certificate authority, which is just happens to be on the CA in this instance. And then we will grab out the SoulKiller's hash. From there, what we can do is search for. We can search for. We can use this to search for vulnerable templates. But first, let's do this and just confirm that this is the hash and that this works. NXC, SMB. SMB, that's right. SoulKiller.svc. And instead of a password, we're going to use a hash. And just validate that this access actually works. It does. So we do have access as this individual. This is their NT hash, so we can kind of move forward. As a matter of fact, I think this will open up to Spectre Ops, right? Because I took out. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to go through it. But this is the research paper by Will Schroeder and Lee Christensen. And I believe that there is a talk on the DEF CON YouTube or their archive for this presentation that they did, Certified Pre-Owned. So you can look it up, you can read it, and hopefully you'll find some things that either you did not know or really just expand your knowledge on what you already do know. So what do we do now? We're going to find vulnerable templates that are enabled using the hash that we just retrieved. And in this instance, I'm just going to supply any hash, the NT hash in both fields. So certify, find the DCIP, the username, the hash, vulnerable templates, and enabled templates. And some things that we're going to want to just make sure that we pull out are the CA name, which we have down here. And unfortunately, it kind of looks like I've done some spoiling, but that's okay. I'm going to let this run, and when it's done, we'll look through the file and see if we can identify, why is it escalation 1? How do we know that? So let's less it and kind of move all the way down to the bottom. So what can we see here? Vulnerabilities. Inside of the JSON, we have ESC1. Enrollee supply subject and template allows client authentication. If we look up here, we can see that our user, SoulKiller SVC, has enrollment rights. And that kind of aligns with what we saw if we look here in in their description, certificate manager or certificate management for Soul Killer AI, right? So they're allowed to enroll themselves. Some other things that are important for escalation 1 are, where am I? So we need the template name, we need the CA name. We can see that enrolling management, enrolling supply subject is set to true. Manager approval is set to false. We have enrollment rights as our user account. So these are the things that make up escalation 1, and we can go in and find that out in here. Domain escalation via no issuance requirements, enrollee client authentication or smart login OID templates, CT flag enrollee supply subject. And I think if we dig down deeper, we can see this. Yeah. So the enterprise CA grants low privilege user enrollment rights. Manager approval is disabled. No authorized signatures are required. And overly permissive certificate template descriptor grants certificate enrollment rights to low privilege user. And if you think that this doesn't happen in real life, I just want to let you know that it happened at my place of work. I found it, identified it, I fixed it, I showed them like, hey, this is what's happening here, and this is how we fix it. It was actually a variation of escalation 4, which is essentially escalation 1, right? Because your user has right control over the template, and they can essentially just force escalation 1. All the things that make escalation 1 true and accessible, you can perform those same acts on with escalation 4. So again, we needed to make sure that we took down the template name, and we needed to make sure that we took down the certificate authority name. And from here, what we can do is request a certificate as the administrator, the administrator account. So we're going to request a ticket with certify request module, the IP address, the username, the hashes that we have for the Soul Killer SVC account, the template that's vulnerable, the vulnerable template, which was AI takeover, the user principal name, which is administrator at hacksmarter.local, and then the certificate authority, which is hacksmarter DC 01-CA. And you can see that we have a PFX file for that individual, the administrator account, with which we can now authenticate again, or use the authenticate module in order to grab out the until m hash, and we can validate that again in netexec with the SMP module. So that's administrator with the hash value of this. I don't know that it's gonna. Maybe it will take it. Yeah, it didn't take it. Let's do this. We just remove out this part. It will be much more happy. Add, and I just misspelled admin Rhetor. Wonder if it would have worked with the full hash. It doesn't look like it, but maybe so. So we can see that the administrator does have access. We have full access. If we don't dig any further than this and we try to use something like psexec, we will find out psexec hack smarter.local administrator hashes. I think it's hashes. Please stop that. Hashes TCP 10.1.95.42. What is it? It's 1 dash hashes. Yeah. Administrator. Connection error. Pull out the help information. So we have the domain, the username, password at target, administrator, hack smarter.local. What are we missing? Oh, okay. Deactivate. And then attempt to try. Smarter.local. That, of course, is going to fail. Please. Name or service not known. Smarter.local ADMINISTRATOR. Hashes. At 10.1.95.42. Is that what it's wanting? It is. So what I expect to see here is that we get stopped at this section, and to me what that means is that Windows Defender is enabled. I think in the original video I say that I think that I say something like the firewall is enabled, but realistically it's just Windows Defender. Windows Defender is stopping you, and we can kind of see that if we do attempt some other connection methods like WMI exec. It will never leave this step, and then same for SMB exec. That will also fail. So let's go back to NXC, and we can check out RDP. We can check out RDP. All right, so our user has RDP access. So let's xfree RDP3 /u administrator. We can pass the hash with this individual with /pth and this hash method. And then we can, is it /i? I think it's /i. Maybe it's not. No, it's /v. /v for the address 10.1.95.42 for the domain controller. We're going to add the clipboard with plus clipboard, and then add dynamic resolution, which is going to allow us to change the size of the RDP window. And unfortunately, we can see that the user account is restricted from authenticating, which is unfortunate. So we can't authenticate with RDP, even though it says that we do have access. We're just not allowed to log in that method. And it was at this time that I thought, oh, you know what? I saw a domain administrator called domain admin. I saw a domain admin by the name of the Emperor, right? So what was my thought? My thought wasn't, let's look at other protocols that are opened. My thought was, oh, I must have to become the Emperor in order to RDP into the server. And just long story short, that is not the case. If you end up becoming the Emperor, you still have the same issue. They cannot authenticate to the device via RDP. So what are we doing instead? We're going to use evil WinRM because if we check our WinRM access, WinRM, we should see. What the hell is that? Argument 2 is longer than 1. I don't know, but it's showing us that we do have access. We have WinRM access. So we will connect with evil WinRM. Evil WinRM, TACU, administrator. I think it's H. Hopefully it's H. Actually hit Control F and then TAC I for 10.1.95.42. We should end up getting access into the system. So who am I? Host name, IP config, all the things that you would want to see, and then we can dir the desktop, and we'll see the root flag. Awesome. Yeah, so that's the machine. This is a really fun escalation method. I really like all these ADCS types of attacks. If you look at the original research paper, you'll see that there were initially there were 8 escalation methods identified, and I think that, as far as I know, it's up to 15. Maybe it's up to 18. ADCS escalation 15. Let's look for what kind of just increment at this point and see if there is more. There is, really. 16? 17? No 17. So maybe there are only 16 currently. Which is insane, right? Because it's, I mean, it's essentially doubled um, the amount of vulnerabilities from their initial research that they had done, which is incredibly impressive, right? Very, very impressive attack and research done by them. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you learned something. If you want to see the entire thing, my like beginning to end, all the struggles that I actually went through, I would recommend muting because the volume is freaking blown out, man. It's horrible. But if you do like it, let me know. Let me know in this video. Let me know in that video. It doesn't matter which one you choose. But yeah, I hope that you end up giving these labs a try. These Hack Smarter labs. You know, they're a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing them. It looks like there are a few things. Hands-on labs. So you can either pay $80 for 12 months or $8.99 per month. If you do the all access, I think that you get like all of his current courses, which is kind of insane. I think you get everything, right? So you'll get Sliver C2 hands-on. Maybe this is wrong. Surely that's not right, right? I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me. If you pay for the all access, it seems like you get all of this, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, see you in the next one. Goodbye.